Thank you for choosing to learn more about how to navigate the maze of getting involved in SACAC. As an organization, we're super excited that each of you is interested in contributing to our collaborative network. We plan to provide you with an overview of SACAC structure, some of the committees, bust some myths, give you some advice to begin your journey, and present you with some current opportunities. But first of all, we'll have each of our panelists introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their paths.
Oh, hi, y'all. My name is Amy Moffatt. I currently serve as the assistant vice president. I just gave myself a title raise there. Assistant vice president for university admissions at Towson University in Maryland. The reason why I don't know my title is because I just transitioned there this past month. So previously, I served as the director of national recruitment at the University of South Carolina. So kind of my SACAC journey, actually, whenever I started back in 2008, I was not involved in SACAC. I was more involved in our local ACROs, and it was called CACRO in the Carolinas. And I got really involved in the ACRO Association, and that kind of gave me buy-in to be a part of SACAC because South Carolina was such a large organization with about 90 professionals. Professional development opportunities were limited. So I had to start more at the local area and move forward. But once I jumped into SACAC, I was part of the drive-in committee for South Carolina. I served on the survey committee. And then I moved after that. I did a lot of presentations at SACAC conferences. I served as dry run faculty for 2 years. And then after that, I actually created a local Coastal Georgia legislative day. And so that was really fun. It was for kind of the Savannah, Brunswick area in Georgia, and that piloted hosting them not in the state capital, but maybe in regional areas. And then I was also the South Carolina State Communications Chair. And then more recently, the past 2 years, I've been lucky enough to serve on the board. So my first year of board commitment was serving as the communications chair. And then just recently, I'm the professional development chair this past year. So excited to be here.
Hey everyone, my name is Kaylee Havens. I'm the Associate Director of Regional Recruitment here at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And my first experience with SACAC was a little bit opposite from Amy. So I was exposed to SACAC kind of quickly in the profession. I started admissions in 2015, and my first conference I ever went to was the SACAC conference in Miami back in 2016. So I was new to the entire world of admissions. I had a background in events, and I walk into this conference and I'm blown away by how well put together it was. And I instantly wanted to know who did this, who organized the conference, and how I could potentially be involved in that one day. So my mentor at the time, Erin Chadwick, she kind of gave me the rundown of SACAC. She shared what the board members were, what they do, and she also pushed me towards that first timer session that hopefully you guys attended as well. So I went to the session, got to learn a little bit more about SACAC as a whole. And afterwards, I think at the time we had a paper version of what is now the volunteer interest form. So I quickly just, signed up for everything because I was new. I wanted to be extremely involved. And I kind of sat back and just thought, hey, someone's going to reach out to me and I'm going to have all these roles open up and I'm going to be super involved. And that didn't happen right away. And I didn't let it hold me back. I continued to kind of reach out to any SACAC opportunity that opened up. So from registering for this conference, you'll start getting emails about different conferences, different mini events, different things that are going on in your area. And I basically signed up for all of them. And I would then email the chairs for any of those things I signed up for and just say, hey, I'm interested in participating on a committee, or I'm interested in helping in any way. Just let me know where you need me. And that kind of opened up a lot of doors. So I ended up presenting at the SACAC Counselor Drive-In over how to use social media as a high school counselor in your college and career center. And that presentation got picked up on our local level. So it helped get me a little bit more involved on a local level as well. And then I also signed up to be an attendee at the Georgia Legislative Day that Ashley Young was the chair for at the time. And I emailed her and asked if there was any committees that I could be involved in. And for the first year, it was just attending. But after that, I got to serve as the social media and marketing committee chair, the policy research chair, and then as the legislative affairs chair alongside Jesse Bowen. And then for the past 2 years, I've been given the opportunity to co-chair Georgia Legislative Day, which has allowed me to actually go to DC on a national level and be there for NACAC's Day on the Hill. So a lot of my journey has just been throwing my name out there and kind of following up with other committee members and just declaring my interest. And it's really worked, and I hope to continue doing it and continue growing here. But currently I'm serving as the volunteer coordinator, and my goal is to help any young, aspiring, or current and just ready to be involved SACAC members find their role here in this wonderful organization. So I hope this is helpful, and thank you guys for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is LaSean Price, and I'm a senior admissions counselor at Georgia Tech. A little bit about my SACAC journey. It's funny, as I listened to them, I kept counting back and I was like, oh, that was 2016. I'm like, I had to go all the way back to 2013. And one of my colleagues in my office said, SACAC is looking for presenters. Would you be interested in presenting? And I had been to conferences before, but I had never presented before. And I really wanted to go to the conference, and we came up with a proposal and we submitted it, and we got chosen our very first time. And so that is how I was able to attend my first SACAC conference. From there, I definitely started to get involved in different committees and activities. I volunteered for Mini Camp College, wasn't sure what it was, but it was being held in Atlanta. It was being held downtown. It was easy for me to get to, so I definitely stepped up and got involved, and I did that for a few years, even first just working at the registration table, registering students that had come, but then eventually presenting during the program. I was involved in the SAIL program, which was like a leadership program for middle management, people looking to progress in their career. I've done Georgia Legislative Day as a participant. I'm not researching policy like Kaylee, but I've definitely been attending and talking to legislators. One thing is for dry run, I used to be the volunteer coordinator. I was the first person to hold the position. And I remember as volunteer coordinator, one of the board members asked me why I didn't apply and go to dry run. And at the time, dry run was, looking for faculty. And I thought, oh, they must want professors. They don't want an admissions counselor. And so I didn't apply. And it wasn't until one of the board members said, no, that is not what faculty is. And because you work with transfer students, your voice is really needed in our profession, and you should apply. And I was lucky to be able to participate as a dry run faculty 2 years in a row as well. And so those are some of the ways that we've all been able to navigate this maze of getting involved in SACAC. Amy?
Well, great. So we just wanted to give, we should have done a poll to see who's in our audience, but we're going to assume that you're probably newer to the field. So we want to give you an overview of what the SACAC structure kind of looks like, the hierarchy. It was great because Jonathan and Ryan yesterday kind of gave the picture. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the structure, but you can see all the committees that are listed here. And each committee will have 2 board members that will serve as the co-chair. But underneath each of the committees, there may be subcommittees. So really branching out even further depending on what it is. So that's what I'm going to go into more details on the next slide, is kind of all of these different opportunities that are under these main committees and what they are and how you can get involved or participate. So dry run is Dry Run and Summer Seminar are very similar programs, just 2 different audiences. So Dry Run is for the admissions counselors, and then Summer Seminar is for the high school side of the house. And both of these programs are for, new professionals to our field, probably I would say within less than 2 years of experience. These are great programs to attend. So Dry Run is usually hosted on a college campus, and it's about a 3-day experience where you'll learn all the ins and outs of, how to navigate this college admissions field. But I think the most beneficial part is that networking piece, because you're also meeting other new people in the field. You might be meeting new road buddies and travel buddies that you'll be traveling to the same place. But Dry Run also has faculty members. So LaSean and I both mentioned serving as faculty, and it is not professors, it's actually experienced folks on both sides of the desk that we want to volunteer to kind of lead our new professionals and give them advice and kind of, mold and shape them into, who they're going to become. And so we hope that if you are experienced on this call, that you might consider applying for Dry Run faculty or keep it in your sights, 5 years from now when you're a little bit more experienced. But we hope that you will be a participant this summer if you are new to the field. It is going to be a virtual experience, and it's usually in July. So more details will be coming out after the conference. Same thing with summer seminar. It's just geared on the high school side. It's a little bit more of a smaller cohort, and it is also hosted on a college campus. And you do a lot of college tours and a lot of programming on like how to write a letter of recommendation or learning about international admissions, extracurricular activities. Like there's kind of the whole gamut of participants and presentations that will be shared there. There's also faculty that will serve at the summer seminar, and a call for volunteers will also come out from that. And that is also both sides of the desk, more on the high school side, but we do try to get a range of, all kind of types of experiences. The Sweet Tea Tour is designed for high school counselors or independent counselors to tour colleges and universities in a certain region in the Southeast. So the location changes each year, and the tour is limited to size. So there is an application process for high school counselors, but that is also a great committee to get involved in, because it's a lot of event planning and logistics and coordinating with all the colleges to design their tour and so forth. So a lot goes into the Sweet Tea Tour. So especially if that is going to be hosted in your area, I believe we had to postpone now for 2 years. So next year, I think it's finally going to get to Louisiana area and be hosted there. So if you're from that area, look out for ways, or reach out like, Kaylee has done, reach out to those chairs. And on our website, you will see all of the chairs, all of the information, all the people and their contact information of how to reach out. SACAC Leads is our newest program. So LaSean mentioned SAIL, and I forgot that I participated in SAIL as well a while ago. It was like 2015. But SAIL kind of retired. We sunsetted the SAIL. And Arlene and Bartley have created this wonderful program called SACAC Leads. And this year it is virtual, but it will be in person moving forward. And it's supposed to be about like an 8 to 10 month type of program. You meet monthly with really highly experienced folks in our field. So there are faculty members as well, but these are more experienced faculty, like 20 plus years. These have been around for a while to share all of their wealth of knowledge. And it's really designed for middle management, and that on both sides of the desk, on high school and college counselor, or high school and college and universities, or really any area. And when I say middle management, I mean kind of that, above 5, maybe years of experience, but less than 10. So you're kind of in the middle of your career. And we want, participants to, get involved in that way. So I'd highly encourage you to consider this for next year. It has been such an impactful experience already in a virtual world, and I cannot wait to see what it does kind of in that in-person sector. So you can look at being a participant or a faculty volunteer. SACAC webinars, they have a committee that you can get involved on. So there's 2 co-chairs, but then they have committee members. And this is great to hear from all different voices and perspectives. So if this is something that interests you, especially, I feel like we all are experienced now in webinars in this virtual world. So I would highly encourage you to get involved with that and bring your ideas of what webinars we can host. And you would help with the logistics of not only running it, but also coordinating with different presenters and finding, different people to serve on these webinars. And they're usually held monthly, and we try to do fall, spring, and summer. Annual conference is actually a great way to get involved, especially when you're new, because there's so many opportunities. And this is really a great way, whatever it is, host it in person. You can be a part of our local area arrangements. So maybe you do the social event and find a venue and do all the event logistics around that, or you help with registration, getting all of our thousands of people that come to the conference, get them registered and get their name badges and all the fun things. Or maybe you want to do, you want to actually submit a presentation proposal and, give your knowledge. You can do that. You could also be a presentation moderator. They usually have those in person, and be a part of the planning committee. So there's a lot of ways to get involved in annual conference, and that might be a great way to kind of dip your toes in the water if you're looking for that. Drive-in workshops. So each of the states typically, hopefully, are hosting a drive-in workshop. And these are one-day seminars for high school counselors and advisors. So it's a really great way to offer them professional development in their area so they don't have to drive to wherever the conference is. And it's very low cost to our high school counselors. There's usually a committee of a lot of people. So another great way to get involved in different areas. Like I mentioned, I was on the survey committee, and I developed the survey of getting feedback from the participants, and that was my role. Of course, I attended and I helped wherever I could with registration or whatnot, but each of us had kind of our own area for your state. So it may look different depending on the state and the coordination. You may have a large committee like I did in South Carolina, or you may have a small committee, so you may wear a lot of different hats, but they're always looking for volunteers. And even if you can't volunteer, they're always looking for swag donations. So if you do work at a college or university, keep in mind this is another great way to give back. And if you're able to do a monetary donation, a lot of these places are also looking for sponsorships as well. So you can give to the cause in different ways as well. SACAC state meetings, they will be hosted at the annual conference. So ours is coming up. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow because I'm not in a state anymore. So it's so sad. So I don't actually know. But, in person at the annual conference, but we've also started to doing them in the fall. So hopefully hosting them twice a year instead of just once a year. And these are a great way just to connect as well with all of your colleagues in your state, kind of learn about maybe state specific legislation or higher education trends or college admissions updates within the state, within your state colleagues. So I'd highly encourage you to attend that day whenever you get that call for attendance and invitation. Legislative days. So these are days for you to learn about public policy affecting higher education, and you can get involved at the state level and educate with your state legislators about SACAC in our profession. So again, highly encourage you. We are always looking for hundreds. Like we want our event to be the biggest event, beating last year's numbers. So highly encourage you to do that. If you do work for a state institution, that might be something that your state may, or like your public institution may not want you to, voice the opinion of your institution. You can represent SACAC. So you don't have to worry about this kind of blurred lines. You can say, hey, I'm from SACAC, and go from there. You don't even have to say what state institution you're from. So that's something to keep in mind if there's kind of that unknowing feeling, if you still want to get involved. National college fairs. So there's a few in our region, and they're always looking for volunteers. I know this is on the NACAC side of the house, but we do have 2 co-chairs that serve on that committee that are a part of our board. So if you're looking to, help with the logistical side of the house of planning one of those big college fairs, they're always looking for volunteers as well. Mini-camp colleges. So think of these as a one-day informative college planning workshop for high school students. So as you can imagine, if it's an entire session talking about, hey, how to write a letter of recommendation, or, what's college fit and what does that look like? They're going to need volunteers to do these presentations, to help these students, get to sessions to next. So absolutely encourage you, especially if you're new in the field, because this is a great way for you to learn as well, but then also connect to those students because you're not so far removed from the college side as well. Southern Scope blog is, they try to do about monthly posts with member highlights or program insights. So if you represent a high school or a college that has kind of a unique program and you think it would be great for other SACAC members to know, send them an email and write up a blog so that it can get posted, because we want to learn about all the great things that all of our SACAC members are doing. Think Tank Tuesdays are new. So this is something we created this year because of the pandemic. We were missing that collaborative and brainstorming and just idea sharing platform that we would usually get from an in-person experience. And so we had about once a month, we did different topics on like racial justice or spring virtual planning, self-care ideas. We had one on women in higher education. So it was really a great way to collaborate and just come together and share of minds. And then last but not least, grants and scholarships. There's actually about 4 different grants and awards that you can apply for yourself if you need funding to go to a professional development opportunity, or that you can apply for students. So I would highly, highly encourage you to go to our website and look at the details for those 4 grants and scholarships, because there's a lot of great opportunities for you or our students. All right, I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Amy. I don't know if you guys saw me. I had to write some notes down. She was dropping some gems there. I got some ideas. So I want to talk a little bit about using Network as a great tool if you're seeking volunteer opportunities. I'd like to give you some recommendations on how to use this tool to your advantage. So sometimes it's who you know and what you know. This doesn't mean that it's a secret society, but the more people you have in your professional network, the more opportunities that may present themselves and different activities, and become a familiar face, because familiarity can increase your chances of participating or creating opportunities. And Kaylee talked a little bit about that when she was talking about how she filled out the form, and then she was just volunteering and doing different things and reaching out to different co-chairs and committee chairs, because sometimes at the moment we as a committee chair may not have an opportunity, but the timing may align, and I'm looking for someone and you reach out to me, or I have your email because you reached out to me previously when I do have an opportunity to present itself. So definitely think that's important. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities that you can volunteer in SACAC, and I mean, whether that's writing for the Southern Scope or conducting a webinar or attending legislative day. And although you think, well, volunteering, is that really attending an event? But yes, when you're a part of legislative day, that is your volunteering for our organization and advocating for our students and our mission. So we have open forums that we participate in. Think Tank Tuesdays, Think Tank. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. And so these are activities where it doesn't just have to be sitting on the board, or it doesn't have to be at the conference. These are active ways that you can get involved and give back. And I mean, even if it's giving your opinion and your ideas and your suggestions, we welcome all those opportunities. So sometimes the opportunity may come knocking, but sometimes you have to go get it. There's more opportunities, the more entries that you make, the more likely you are to have the opportunity present itself. And although you may have your mind set on one particular opportunity, volunteering for opportunities that present themselves to you are going to be important. Taking on something new and unfamiliar may stretch you personally and professionally and increase your visibility. Volunteering can take on many shapes. I know yesterday I was in a session with government relations on advocacy, and they encouraged participants to join their affiliate government relations committee. And then she ended by saying, we want you. So if you're looking for something to get involved in, well, guess what? The government relations committee, they want you. They told me yesterday in the session. And so this is a great opportunity for you to volunteer, and it's not necessarily an application process. I mean, we're just looking for active voices. And although your undergraduate degree may not be in public policy, I'm volunteering to attend a legislative day for SACAC or NACAC to learn more about advocacy and to advocate for those programs that you feel passionate about. If you see something, say something. So this is, there's opportunities to create your own opportunities. I think Amy mentioned that she created her own regional opportunity. And so the opportunities that we talk about are not the only avenues to get involved. We want to hear your voice in SACAC. And having a board position or volunteering at the conference, once again, are not your only options. You can write a blog for the Southern Scope or submit an idea for the webinar series, which I scribbled my notes about a blog for the Southern Post. I'm like, yep, I'm on that next. If you notice, we haven't pushed out, any maybe dual enrollment webinars, and that is your focus at your institution over the past year, and that's something that you're passionate about, reach out to Inclusion, Access, and Success, or to state and area initiatives with your ideas, or to the webinar committees. I mean, if you don't know who to reach out to, you can always email info@sacac.org, and Elizabeth will route you to the right person to get your ideas to the appropriate person. I know a new program just launched right before the conference. It was an on-ramp program, and it was launched for new high school counselors, and their goal was to provide college access knowledge base to prepare first-timers to having meaningful conference experience. And it was an idea that one of the board members brought and thought this would be a great idea to kind of give some knowledge base before the conference begins. And we had our first successful on-ramp. And I work specifically, so I mentioned earlier that I work at Georgia Tech, and I work specifically with transfer students. And so as I'm rolling off the board from being the advancement co-chair, I want to start a transfer student initiative. Not really sure what that looks like, but if you're interested, call me. And so I'm going to reach out to Inclusion, Access, and Success to see if that having a transfer initiative would fall under their preview. I also noticed that when I look through the agenda, there's a young lady, Miranda Ross from Georgia Southern. So if we have any Georgia Southern people joined us, let her know I'm going to come looking for her. But I see she's giving a workshop about a transfer initiative. And so I'm going to reach out to her. Obviously, she has a passion for it. I have a passion for it. Why not join forces and bring some of those opportunities to SACAC? The last thing I want to say is maintaining connections and building and strengthening the foundation is a very important part of networking. And you need to look for the right people. And that doesn't necessarily mean the SACAC president, but expand your network. I can't see currently how many people are on the presentation right now, but all of us are wanting to get involved. And I'm sure that someone in this session today shares the same passion with you. And it's just about getting out there and networking. And once again, it's sometimes what you know and who you know. Being in a virtual space can make things a little more difficult. But there are people in your immediate office who are looking to get involved. There are people in your network who are looking to get involved, and you may have to revisit old connections to find those people who are willing to step up to the plate with you. If you're new to the field and you don't have that network, well, this is a great opportunity to think about how you're going to build it and make sure to make those connections when you do get out on the road as we begin to recruit students for next year. Just a little bit is I reached out to Kaylee about the presentation. I wanted to present and I wanted to present on getting involved in SACAC. And Kaylee's the volunteer coordinator, and who better? So I reached out to her and said, hey, are you interested in presenting? And I know Kaylee from being on the road. She used to be at Georgia Regents, and I was at Georgia Perimeter, and we were in alphabetical order. So I knew her from being on the road. I knew she held the position. I've seen her at the conferences, and I've seen her name at Georgia Legislative Day. So she was on my radar. And so I reached out to her about presenting, and she was interested. And I said, well, who else, could we get, do you think? And she was like, we should reach out to Amy. And so we reached out to Amy, and, it was part of the network that we've got that made this possible for us to come present to you today. And just one last note, although networking is a great way for you to participate and create activities within SACAC, but it's kind of a BOGO, buy one, get one free. These volunteer opportunities can provide growth in status and self-confidence and in self-esteem. They can also enhance your career interest. And maybe you didn't know that you were interested in advocacy until you attend Georgia Legislative Day. It can create job opportunities. once again, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. And this is a great way when people see you're passionate and they see your work and they see you're organized and you're driven. I know that I've had someone at Dry Run say, hey, I'm looking for someone to work on my transfer team. Would you be interested? And it just so happens I was at Dry Run presenting on transfer admissions. And then also I've gotten a lot of mentors and great career advice and support through volunteering and networking at SACAC. So this is definitely a great way for you to then use this as a tool to further your career. Kaylee?
Thanks. Yeah, so we're going to move through a couple myth busters that will help you guys when you're going through this transition, trying to get more involved here in SACAC. So the first one I hear all the time, I'm new to SACAC and it's too soon for me to get involved. This is 100% busted. There is no such thing as too soon to be involved in SACAC. You can start even before your first conference or before the moment you sign up as a member, you can truly start being plugged in. Again, it's been mentioned that can look like a couple different things. It doesn't have to be being a committee member or actually volunteering to work on the behind the scenes stuff for an event. And this leads into the second myth that we'll put up here. The only way for me to be involved is to volunteer. That's busted as well. You can be an attendee, and that is a huge help to many of us. For Georgia Legislative Days, a whole plethora of that is behind the scenes work. But if you don't have people attend, then the work that you're doing to educate your attendees and to get them to go out and speak with representatives, it's kind of wasted. So we need those people to attend so that we can actually get the bulk and the purpose of that event across for why we're there. And then I filled out the volunteer interest form and no one reached out to me. I guess they don't want me to be involved. This is busted as well. And this is first time Kaylee at a SACAC. I truly didn't think anyone wanted me to be plugged in, and that is not the case. You've seen all of the different opportunities that have been listed, but there's a lot of behind the scenes with that as well. So some of these positions might have 2-year terms or 3-year terms, or someone might have already expressed interest, and that's why it's not opened up to individuals yet. So there's plenty of ways for you to still get involved. But if someone doesn't reach out to you right away, that doesn't mean you're not wanted. It just means an opportunity might not be there yet, but your name stays on that form. And we'll lead into the next slide with tips on how to be selected. So completing the volunteer interest form is going to be the first step. And this QR code will take you to that form. So feel free to take a photo of this real quick. We'll also drop that into the chat right when I go from this slide, so you have access to fill this out. You may be saying, hey, I filled this form out before, no one's reached out. I will ask you to keep in mind, if your name has changed, if you now work for a different institution, if your email has changed, any of your contact information, or if your interest has changed, please go back and refill out this form. And I go through and basically manually take individuals out. I'll update you with your most current information. But just looking through some of our responses, we have a lot of outdated contact information for people. And I send this information to board members and committee chairs for them to reach out and fill that interest or fill that need. And if it's outdated, then they're not going to be able to reach you. So please fill it out with your most updated information. Another tip I have is look for the committee chairs and board members. So find their information on our website. If you go to a session and they present, maybe stay after and thank them, or send them a follow-up email thanking them for a presentation and declare your interest. This is a great way for them to keep your name in mind, but it's also a great way for you to just kind of express your desire and for them to also feel appreciated. And appreciation goes a long way for people to keep your name in mind for future events. Reach out to confirm your interest. I kind of filled that in with the first one, and then participating. So this is, say for Georgia Legislative Day, you sign up as a committee member and you're not selected to assist with this particular one, but then you sign up to actually participate in the event. That's a great way for us to look at how involved you are as a participant and for names to be kept in mind based on how involved you have been. We're always going to look towards that individual who is smiling, who is really outgoing, who is being very vocal or asking questions, or who seems genuinely invested in being at that event to potentially transition into a committee chair. And that's just a great way to put a good reputation behind your name. And then keep volunteering. There is no such thing, in my opinion, of too much volunteering. And your volunteer resume can be pages and pages long. I think that just speaks to you as an individual. So maybe you're tired of the same thing that you volunteered for over and over, and you want to try something different. don't want anyone to be scared of trying something that they might not be familiar with. This is a place to try out new interest and go after a different challenge, and we're here to support you. So again, I'll drop the link in the chat, so if anyone missed that QR code, but this does transition well into our words of wisdom. And I'll start with the first one. A ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are for. And if you take anything away from this, I hope that you truly take that this is a place for you to grow, and this is a place for you to feel supported and for you to challenge yourself as a professional and personally. And you don't want to just stick doing things that are comfortable to you. You want to try out something different, challenge yourself, grow those hard and soft skills, and let SACAC be the tool that helps you to grow those skills. So that's my words of wisdom for you, is go after that challenge and could just continue to grow here in SACAC.
So my words of wisdom is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And, you know, I wouldn't be standing here right now if it wasn't for others who supported me and encouraged me to reach beyond my desk. And so I think that's important. Building your network, fostering those relationships is going to be super important as you navigate this maze.
Before I give you my words of wisdom, I wanted to piggyback on LaSean, because we didn't mention about the mentor and mentee network that we have in SACAC. It's funny because I have a group text with my mentor mentee group, and we've been talking about all the sessions and everything that we're doing. But that's also a great way if you're new to the field, or even if you're experienced. I'd highly encourage you to get involved in that. They've kind of structured it this year, and it's been phenomenal. You have kind of a pod. There's 6 of us, and we meet monthly. It's usually after hours, so we can have a beverage in hand, and we just talk about random things, either things that are going on, you know, professionally, or questions that we have, because it's both sides of the desk, all voices, all kind of years of experience. And it's just been so fun to kind of unload and actually see people from our profession. So I'd highly encourage you to get involved in that. And then they've been doing, for the entire mentee mentor group, they've been doing monthly sessions with experienced panelists to really go through a lot of different things. So I'd highly encourage you to get involved in that. And then something Kaylee said earlier about, oh, I filled out this form already, like I'm not going to submit it again. Something to add that I didn't really realize until I got on the board and I saw the other side was how frequently board members are transitioning, right? Like LaSean and I are both rolling off. So if you submitted to maybe work with our committees last year, we saw it then, but there's going to be new board members that are getting that list again this year. And so I think that's something to keep in mind, is keep putting your name on the list, keep doing it. Anytime there is a call for anything, keep throwing your name out there. Because again, the more they see your name, I think that's part of the reason why I am where I am with SACAC, is because they were probably just sick of seeing my name and seeing my name applying for positions that I didn't get. Like I interviewed or I applied and I didn't get them, but I kept throwing my name in the hat, and I was the little engine that could and just kept going. Go ahead, LaSean, you want to say something? Is this
the only time that stalking is appropriate? The only time?
So anyways, my piece of advice is, it kind of goes perfect. If an opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. And what this kind of means to me is keep trying. Obviously, I think that one is self-explanatory. But another thing that, or a piece of advice that I would give you that's kind of relatable, is look at your resume. Look at your transferable skills. Like, you know your strengths, you know what you're great at. You can see on your resume what what you're aligning towards, right? So for me, it was event planning. Loved it logistically. Like that was my jam for my first 5 years of my career. And my resume reflected that. So I used SACAC as an opportunity to get involved and see what areas maybe made me feel uncomfortable. And that was advocacy. That was, I did not watch the news. I was not big in politics. And so I forced myself outside my comfort zone to get involved with Legislative Day. And I've learned so much, to the point where last year I was on the Hill with Kaylee at NACAC's Advocacy Day. And so I think my advice for you is, obviously you're going to gravitate towards the things that you're great at and that you have strengths in, but I would encourage you to take a step back and look at those things that you're like, oh, never, I would never be involved in asking people for money, or never be involved. LaSean's so great at it, and she serves as our co-chair right now. Or I'd never be involved in social media because I don't even have a personal social media account. You know, whatever it may be, really, I would try to encourage you to try to fill those holes and fill those gaps on your resume with SACAC opportunities. So don't be afraid to don't be afraid to propose new things and try new things out there. All right, so the moment you've all been waiting for, what's available now?
Yes, so these have been described in depth earlier, so we won't go through all of them, but we did want you guys to see what is currently an opportunity. And to reiterate, filling out that volunteer interest form, just so you guys know, if you've already filled it out, still fill it out with your new information. If you haven't, please fill it out. I send this out 3 times throughout the year. So I send it at the beginning of the fall, beginning of the spring, and then the beginning of the summer. I also do a small push before the conference and then again after the conference, because we seem to get an uptick in people who filled it out after the conference. These committee and board chairs will then be reaching out to these individuals to say, hey, we've seen your interest, this is what we have, and move forward with any next steps. Another myth that was not included is sometimes you might fill out this form and then you get an invitation or an email that asks you to be involved in this event, and people will be like, oh, I just ignored that. I'm like, that was your outreach from the chair. You can't ignore that. That is what they're sending you to ask you to be involved. So make sure you're reading your emails from SACAC. All of these will come from volunteer at SACAC or advancement at SACAC, membership at SACAC. It's all going to seem like it's a SACAC email, but you just want to make sure you're reading that to see what the opportunities are for you guys. You're always welcome to email the volunteer coordinator email, which is volunteer@sacac.org, or you can email any of us here today to ask questions or clarify anything. But we definitely want to see you guys plugged in. We definitely want to see you either presenting or working a registration table or being a mentor or a host or anything at next year's in-person conference. And we hope that we can be a tool for you throughout your growth here at SACAC as well. This will conclude our presentation portion, but we have a couple minutes if people want to drop some Q&A into the chat function. We're happy to answer any questions you guys have. Again, I know we have about 2 minutes for that.
I'll also just add, don't opt out of any of the emails, because if you opt out even one, that opts you out the entire emails from SACAC. So you're not going to get any of this information and none of the information that Diana sends. So, you know, like, I think we get like 2 or 3 emails a week. So just remember, like, if you have ever clicked that opt out, please email info@sacac.org so Diana can get you back on the list so you don't miss all these important announcements and current opportunities that are being shown on the screen. Obviously, you guys are getting kind of the first sneak peek, and then, you know, official communication, I believe, is going to go out after the conference. So we highly encourage you to submit that.
Hey, LaSean, I think there's a text question in the chat function to go back to the Florida opportunity that was on, I think it's the second page. Current opportunities, you go one more over, maybe one more. Okay, so there's the Florida state initiatives, and there were a couple for the mini college camp or mini camp college that you guys can do as well. And then it looks like someone's raised their hand as well for a question. Let's see.
I don't see a raised hand.
The final thing I will add for this, and I'm so sorry that I forgot this when I was mentioning the form, Diana, another highlight for her, she's been amazing. We did go through the volunteer form, and something we noticed that was added this year and had not been on there previously. If you're a regional admissions counselor, or say you work in a different state than where your institution is, there was not a question previously that gave you the opportunity to fill out your institution's address and then your address. So for my situation, I work for a school in Alabama, but I live in Georgia. And so I was not getting every single Georgia opportunity to volunteer, and that has been changed. So again, if you are a regional or if you live in a different place, go through and fill in your personal address so we can start getting you that information for your home state. And thank you, Diana, for your help adding that so that we can get more personalized information.
Yep, and I am looking up the mentor link right now because someone asked for that. So give me 1 second. If you haven't looked on our SACAC website, I know Diana, Sean, and I last year when I was part of the comms team, we took a lot of time to edit this and keep it updated. So I'd highly encourage you to really just kind of, on a Sunday evening, maybe with a glass of wine in your hand, go through it and look and familiarize yourself with it, because there's a lot of information on here, and it's really helpful. Trying to find the mentor. And if one of you beat me to it, please. Oh, there it is.
Well, thank you all. We want to give you time for a break so that you can attend your, I believe it is special interest group meetings that are after this. So please make sure you attend the next sessions, and we appreciate you guys being here today and hope you have a great rest of your SACAC conference.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for being here.
And Mackenzie, that will conclude the presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, y'all. That was fun.
Yes, it was great. Here's the link, and other people were dropping links in there. That's so great.
Perfect. See you guys later.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.